security section. And sometimes when you hear Homeland Security, you might think we're the feds, we're not the FBI, we don't jump out of airplanes, right? Our role primarily is we work often with schools, with places of worship, with businesses. We try to help gain information about options and considerations for incidents such as active shooter. We also offer training to our police officers, where we will scout locations to offer them active shooter training. And as Drew mentioned a little earlier, for those of you that weren't here, we really want that consistent message across the county, especially when it comes to active shooter. We need our schools across the county to be on the same page when it comes to training. What are they teaching the students, the teachers, as far as what to do, which we will talk about. We work very, very closely with our friends at the 7th Precinct when we are here in this area for an event. We invite them, we all work together, even though our roles might be different. And I'll turn it over to Drew for also a brief introduction.
Drew Fiorillo again from the Suffolk County Police Department Homeland Security Section. As I stated earlier, I was involved in schools from 2004 to 2019, intimately on an everyday basis. In 2019, I came to Homeland, and last year they tapped me and said, hey, you're going back with the schools because of the knowledge and relationships that we have from the east end to the west, and we want to kind of bring unity together. Alicia and I will go over some school safety tips tonight, as well as some tips that we could take in our public life when we're out at a house of worship, when we're shopping at Target, BJ's, Kohl's, whatever, and look that we can apply it to our life. Again, if there's a question that you have, wait till the end, we'll answer it. If we don't have the answer for you, our information will be up there. I will get it to you. I will get you the answer. We have many resources that we can get you the answer. And if you have a question that you don't want to ask here tonight in public, please send us an email and we'll be able to address it with you.
When we work with the schools, we form great relationships with them. For example, our friends from Longwood in the back, we work very, very closely with them. I consider them our friends. We have constant communication. Any questions, we exchange, we share information. We learn a lot by working with the schools, and that's a great benefit to our role. We know that our children, our own children, your nieces, nephews, grandchildren, they are the most prized possession that we have. And when it comes to safety, we need especially important for that to take priority, which our schools, as we travel around, it's very impressive. Our schools do a great job. So we offer the assistance with their drills to make sure they're doing them correctly. And when we talk about guidelines, our Suffolk County Police Department, we follow New York State guidelines. We don't make up our own tactics. It's all according to New York State guidelines. We'll share what those guidelines are, and we'll talk about why they are put into place. The reality is that an active shooter incident, it could happen. And when we talk about options of what to do, we only have 3 options for active shooter. It's run, hide, fight, that's it. Doesn't have to be in that order. It's the easiest way to remember it. But there are some situations where I, as a police officer, Drew as an officer, we can't tell you what to do. We can't tell our schools exactly what to do. There are certain situations they're going to have to make that call on their own. And the good news is, if there is any good news to this topic, you pretty much have a greater chance of being struck by lightning than being involved in an active shooter incident. That's not to say it's never going to happen, because absolutely it could happen. But we share these FBI statistics with you because we don't want people living in fear. We don't want our teachers coming to work every day being scared to come to work. We find that sometimes when something happens, especially across the country, that people are in fear. Like, oh my gosh, is today going to be the day? We have people avoiding certain social gatherings, maybe that outdoor fall festival, the outdoor concert, because they're scared of something is going to happen. It's about planning and preparation. That is key. We say chaos, panic, and fear can only be minimized. It can never be eliminated. Doing nothing is not an option for a life or death situation. We must do something. So we talk about schools, school safety. As you know, we have our SROs. We have myself and Officer Fiorillo. We help practice the drills. And why might drills be so important?
So you talk about familiarity. On the left-hand side, we have a fire alarm. In the middle, we have a lockdown button. And to the right-hand side, we have a rave act. In many different school districts across the county, they have the two. Obviously, everybody has a fire alarm, but the two on the right. Some school districts have that push button in the middle that is connected to a central monitoring station that then would notify the police. Others are just local. Others lock down all doors and take away the electronics and would close the doors. On the right-hand side is our Rave app, which is free to all school districts, and many, many school districts in Suffolk County utilize that. And they utilize that because it's able to be geo-fenced. It's able to give pinpoint location of that individual. So if our police officers arrive at the scene and it's for an aided case and that individual is on the football field, sometimes we might arrive at the main office and say, hey, we're here, someone's hurt. And that principal, that secretary might not really know because it happened on the football field. By utilizing our Rave app, it pinpoints that location to that football field, thus sending us quicker to that football field, rendering aid to that individual.
The purpose of conducting drills is to build that muscle memory. Building that muscle memory so they don't even have to think about it. If this were the movies right now, if there were an active shooter incident to take place, number one, we tell you get the heck out if you can. There is a clear difference with our schools practice versus such as the business setting. In schools, we do not teach our students, teach staff to run the heck out of the building. Number one, they're locking down. They're getting behind that locked door. We're going to talk about why.
So on the left-hand side of the screen, we have New York State Safe School Act, which is SHEL. Shelter in place, hold in place, evacuation, lockout, and lockdown. On the right-hand side of the screen is our DHS, Department of Homeland Security, Run High Five model. All of us, every single one of us, follow this right-hand side of the screen when we were at a house of worship, when we were at the mall, when we were at Costco, when we were at BJ's. Our kids that are in school from pre-K through 12 follow the left-hand side of that screen. They must lock down. They are taught to lock down, and there's reasons behind that. Administrators are taught, and administrators give the power and authority to the teachers. By empowering them and giving those teachers authority, then our kids become safe. So we look at the right-hand side, Run High Fight. If you have a niece, if you have a nephew, grandkid, or your own kid who is from pre-K through 12, please do not tell them they are implementing a Run High Fight model in school, because they aren't. They are locking down in the school. And sometimes there's a mixed message saying, hey, you're going to run out. You're not running out. You're listening to your teacher. You're getting behind the nearest locked door, not your classroom locked door, the nearest locked door, and you're going to secure yourself and keep yourself safe. There are studies and statistics behind it about being safe behind that locked door, and we want to continue to do that. As Elisa stated, we work with Longwood, we work with William Floyd. We did a drill in the William Floyd School District. Longwood is on our list to do one there. And we bring our police officers in there on a monthly basis to different schools, different houses of worship, and different businesses to teach them how to work in a school setting, because it's very different than outside where we would implement that Run High Fight setting.
You might be familiar with the words lock out and lock down. Sometimes they get mixed up, and there are differences between the two. Lock out means something is happening outside of the school. It is not always the police-involved incident, such as the bank robbery. It could be a vicious animal on the property. The school will make that call, and they will put the building into what's called that lockout. Everything in the building is safe. Classes are still being taught, students are still eating lunch, and sometimes when the messages go on blast to the parents, this is where they might get those words mixed up, and then they're showing up at the school, and they're wanting to get their child. And maybe they're upset and anxious and nervous, and maybe the school is telling them everything's fine, everything's great, and they still want their child. So again, it's very important that there is that difference that is understood. So again, lock out, something happening outside of the school, everything in the building is safe. It's the safest building in the area at that time.
So your school is almost always in a lockout, just so you guys know. All the schools in Suffolk County have advanced themselves. They're utilizing, majority of them, man traps, 2 sets of doors. The first door is locked. You get vetted, you get buzzed in. There's a second door there, that man trap, you're locked in there. You're getting vetted again prior to going in. So all of these doors are locked. You're just not opening the door and saying, hey, I'm here to see Principal Jones. It's not happening, right? So almost every place is in a lockout at all times because you're getting vetted prior to going in, and business as usual on the inside.
When a school building will go into lockdown, that means the threat is within the building. It's in the building, the threat made it into the building. We will see a short video, survivor of Parkland, Marjorie Stone McDouglas High School. His name is Alex. He will talk about what he felt, what he experienced when he found out what was happening within that building.